I've shown you the restoration of the Roman Empire and the very center of it in Strasbourg. Now, I want you to come with me and we're going to show you the second part where we explain the book of Revelation, and I'm going to take you now into Brussels, and I want you to see what Revelation is speaking about of the Scarlet Woman and the Beast. It is interesting because there are actually two main symbols used by the European Union, both of which are found in the Bible. The first symbol, which we have already seen, is the first part of this film. It's in Strasbourg, where they've built the new European Parliament building in the shape of the Tower of Babel. But the second symbol adopted by Europe is far worse than the first. In fact, it can only be described as evil, even demonic, in its portrayal of abuse and depravity. It portrays a criminal act against women, which would lead to the imprisonment of the perpetrator. Now, this is shocking, and I need to explain it. I find that there are three origins or sources of this second symbol. But firstly, what is it? And where is it? It is the sculpture of the woman on the beast, which is the main feature displayed outside the building of the Council of Europe in Brussels. Its source can clearly be proved. What it represents is the Greek myth of the rape of Europa. It is from this myth and the woman that the continent of Europe got its name. However, we also find this same image of the woman riding the beast in the Bible. It's in Revelation chapter 17 and chapter 13. And the beast itself is shown in the vision of Daniel in the Old Testament, in Daniel chapter 7. In Greek mythology, where we look at the first source of this symbol, the story is that Zeus, the father of the gods, spied a beautiful woman, Europa, alone on a Phoenician beach, which, by the way, is part of Israel today, and lusted after her. He transformed himself into a bull of dazzling whiteness with horns shaped like a crescent moon, and lay down at her feet. She climbed on his back, and he plunged with her into the waves of the sea before raping her. Europa conceived a son, and after her death she received divine honors as Queen of Heaven, while the bull dissolved into the constellation in the sky known today and seen today as Taurus. As well as the sculpture outside the building of the Council of Europe in Brussels, both Brussels and Strasbourg European Union parliaments also contain paintings of the woman on the beast. But as if this is not enough, the member states of the European Union have been using this symbol openly since its very commencement, where it is most visible for all to see exactly what it represents. For example, this image of the woman on the beast appeared as early as 1948 on the German 5 Deutschmark banknote. She is seen riding the beast in a painting done as early as 1979 on the Berlin Wall. And in 1984 she appeared on a British stamp to commemorate the second European parliamentary elections. In 1992 she appeared on the German EQ coin. The EQ came before the euro. She's on a painting in the airport lounge in Brussels. And the most obvious and clear picture is one which appeared on a German telephone card for everyone to use. Finally, today, this woman has reappeared with the introduction of the new euro currency, where we find this same woman on the beast, on the back of the new €2 coin in Greece. This makes us ask the question, are the perpetrators of the European Union trying to tell us something? Are they suggesting that Europe today is being raped? If so, is it politically or financially or spiritually? And by whom? But I also referred to the Bible, where in Revelation 17, this woman is clearly shown as a prostitute sitting on a beast. Here clearly described as having 7 heads and 10 horns. I will explain this later. But the woman also has a second name, because written on her forehead is the name Mystery Babylon, which I will also explain later when I show you that ancient Babylon is actually today to be found in Berlin in Europe. Growing up under Greek and Roman culture as well as Hebrew, the men of the Bible must have known the myths which were an important part of the culture surrounding them, especially because even the New Testament was written in Greek, and the inscription over the cross of Jesus was in these 3 languages, Latin, Hebrew and Greek. Probably Jesus, but certainly Paul, who used illustrations from the Olympic Games and preached in Athens, and John the Apostle, who wrote Revelation, would have understood the myth of Europa and the bull. In Revelation 13, the beast is described as rising out of the sea and having 7 heads and 10 horns. In the Old Testament, this beast appears in 2 forms. The first in Daniel 7, whereas the 4th king or kingdom, it also has 10 horns. But the most significant is the one which I will explain next. In every case we have seen today in Europe, this woman, Europa, can be seen riding a beast. Note that where this story appears in the Bible, the forehead of the woman on the beast is branded with the name Mystery Babylon, Revelation chapter 17. When Jesus revealed to John the woman of Revelation 17 sitting on a scarlet beast with many horns, was he prophetically speaking of Europe today? We know that Revelation was a prophecy, but is this being fulfilled? And why was this woman called Mystery Babylon the Great? And who does the powerful beast with horns represent? In mythology, the woman Europa clung to the father of the gods, who had disguised himself as a bull with crescent-shaped horns. The symbol for the father of the Middle East pagan god, Baal, as we know him from archaeology and from the Bible, Zeus or Jupiter as we know him from Greek or Roman culture, was a bull with great crescent horns. And the ruling god of ancient Babylon and the Middle East was the moon god, again depicted as a bull with crescent horns, or simply as the crescent moon. We have every reason to believe that Allah is the same moon god that Muhammad chose to worship, and who is worshipped by many people today. The crescent moon is the universal symbol of Islam, on its mosques and flags everywhere today. So what connection has Europe to Islam? Looking at history, from the beginning Islam has struggled with Europe. First the incursions of Islam into Europe through Turkey, the Balkans, Spain and France, to overwhelm Europe by war. Then the European Crusader invasions into the Bible land of Israel to wrest control of the land back from Islam. Then, 100 years ago, oil was found in the Middle East, making the Islamic nations politically and economically the most powerful and desirable on earth. A violent union between Europe and Islam began. In World War I, the European armies fought each other in the Middle East. In 1917, when the French and the British were driving the occupying Turks and Germans out of Israel and Jerusalem and the surrounding lands, the British government cut deals with both Jew and Arab to gain maximum support, laying the foundation of today's conflicts. Britain promised, first to the Jews through Lord Balfour, to view with favour the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and second to the Arabs, through the British Commissioner in Egypt, to recognise and support the independence of the Arabs from the Turks. This violent union of Europe and the lands of Islam began in World War I, took another twist in World War II. On the 30th of November 1941, the Muslim Grand Mufti of Jerusalem met with Hitler to make from Revelation chapter 13 and 17, the rape of Europe by the beast. Again, the beast is significant because of its horns. Today, we are seeing the rise of a militant Muslim fanaticism, which is threatening the stability of the world. President Bush recognized this in his declaration of a war against terrorism. And it is not just a question in Israel of the conflict being over territory. The fact is that the Muslims intend to destroy Israel totally. But they may have to destroy America first, because America is the strength behind Israel. They not only want Jerusalem or the so-called occupied territories, they will not rest until every Jew is massacred and out of the land. And after Israel, the next enemy is the church. Militant Muslims hate the cross. They hate every Christian symbol. Even now, all over the world, wherever they see Christian symbols, they're building mosques to show the ascendancy of Islam over the Christian faith. This is part of the great battle we are in the last days. It's serious, and we need to pray. Saudi Arabia has been building mosques worldwide, even where there are few Muslims. Yet in Saudi Arabia, you can be jailed for having a Bible, and no churches can be built there. When the city of Rome allowed the building of a mosque near the Vatican, Saudi press saw this as a surrender to Islam The West may practice interfaith and invite leading imams into Christian cathedrals and churches, but the Islamic cities of Mecca and Medina, and now the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, are forbidden to anyone who does not practice Islam.